Told you it was a long chapter. 27 minutes on, and my sexy husband just had to get his bike out. I'm outside, I'm on the deck. So he was getting his bike out of his man cave, or whatever you want to call it, shed, and I knew it was going to be super noisy. So I cut the video, and this is going to be the part 2 of the beginning of our end. So what I'm doing, it's October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I'm reading to you the 3rd chapter in my book, Empower the Woman Within. And here's where I left off. Okay, so I left off with, I don't remember if I was feeling relieved or excited or what, but here's what I do remember. He was a totally different person that day, smiling and acting as if everything was perfectly fine. We had to sit with the psychiatrist for an exit interview or something like that. Basically, all 3 of us sat down and were to discuss what we were going to do to move forward on from here. The conversation quickly turned to how I will not be starting my own sex toy business, and I looked over at the psychiatrist to say, do you hear this? Are we really going back to that? Remember, he was in there for 10 days. He attempted suicide because I wanted to start a sex toy business. But she was doodling on her paper, or I saw her doodling on her paper. And I thought to myself, I'm on my own here. No one is going to help us. That is such a lonely feeling because I had no idea of how to help us. I didn't know what to do. No one did. What had my life come to? What was next? Things couldn't be any worse. These are the thoughts that I had inside of my head. I thought, oh, but yes, they could, Denise, and they did get worse. For the next few months, my life consisted of trying to do whatever I could to save my husband and to fix him and to get our lives back on track. I was taking him to whoever or whatever hospital advised us to go to. None of it worked. He was resistant to all of it, but I kept trying. One event I remember was the 2 of us sitting in an emergency appointment mandated from the hospital at the behavioral health clinic. This clinic inspires people with mental illness and substance abuse disorders to reclaim their lives, just so you get an idea of where we were at. We were sitting in the counselor's office, and she was asking about what happened. Now remember, my husband was heavily into steroids, so he was muscular, and I was about 5'6" and about 135 pounds. I'm probably lying about my weight. Anyway, you get the idea. He was getting aggressive in his answers to her, and at one point she looked over at me and said, "How bad do things get at home?" I don't remember what I said, but I remember what I thought. And it was, oh no, he's not abusive to me. He doesn't hit me. I wasn't connecting the dots to the abuse back then, because the truth is, this is abuse. He was abusive. The entire situation was toxic and abusive. My thoughts back then were, he wasn't hitting me or sexually assaulting me, so there was no abuse going on. I only related abuse as sexual and or physical. Well, he got so mad that day that he walked off and left me there and wouldn't speak to me and told me to leave. So I did. I left him there in Fort Lauderdale in the parking lot of where we had parked because he refused to get in our van and go with me. So there he was, on crutches, all by himself, in the clinic's parking lot for hours upon time. These stink bugs keep getting near me. We lived about 20 to 30 minutes away, and there was nothing I could do at that point, and I had 2 kids to think about, so I left him there. Many hours later, he called and asked me to come pick him up. This was the pattern of what had happened for the next few months. Him lost, depressed, and confused, me chasing him all around Broward County trying to save him. Finally, things started to calm down by November 2008. We were attending a family member's wedding. We were acting like everything was okay. This was the first time that I numbed myself with alcohol. I got so stinking drunk that night on apple martinis. To this day, I cannot smell an apple martini without being like, I never drank an apple martini after that night. I felt like I had been through so much the last few months that I needed a break. And this wedding, this celebration was perfect. I remember getting in the van at the end of the night with my husband and our 2 kids and feeling so dizzy and even throwing up on the side of the road. That night, the roles had switched and he was taking care of me. I remember apologizing to my kids repeatedly because I had so much guilt inside of me. I felt so bad that I was drunk. I mean, I am the responsible parent. I am the dependent parent, and they've never seen me like this before. So I was in my drunken state, feeling very guilty for what they were seeing. I was crying and apologizing profusely that night. Okay, so here we are to the lesson. At the end of each chapter, I give a lesson. Can you see that? Lesson. And the lesson is know your truth always and never turn anything that can numb your pain. It just makes things worse and the pain is still there the next morning. And love yourself. I ended each one with love yourself because that, like I said in the first video, is truly the foundation of everything. Loving yourself completely, loving the shit, the stuff that happened to you, the stuff that didn't happen to you, loving yourself, loving all aspects of yourself, the parts that, and that's where like coaching comes in, where you can have somebody from the outside help you see the parts of you that you can't see. Because the thing is that people struggle with is they're like, yeah, I love myself. Yeah, I love myself. Yeah, you love yourself and that's great and that's good. But there's parts of you that you don't see. And that's where the struggles come in. Like in life, in all these areas, there's parts that are showing you. Anyway, that's where help comes in. All right, so yesterday, let me just get my bookmark here. Yesterday, I gave you an assignment to start with. So I had read you chapter 2 of this book. And the assignment was on self-love. Okay, so I mean, it was only one day. I usually give my clients, I turn this book into a 12-week course. So usually when I give homework, they have at least a week to do it. You only had one day. But my point to sharing that with you is that you get it done within a reasonable amount of time from listening to the video. It would even be super helpful if you listen to the video that I did in here, and then, cut some time out for yourself and then did the homework right after that. But today, here's your homework assignment for today. Today, I want you to face your truth. This takes courage. I know it does, because I remember when I had to face my truth and I was very scared of my truth. But you are stronger than you could ever imagine. And so what I want you to do is write your story out on paper, just the way it happened, just the way that you remember it happening. Okay? And when your emotions start to come up, I want you to honor them by allowing them to surface. Let them come up. Okay? This is I'm going to talk more about the masculine and the feminine energy this month. This is allowing is your feminine energy. Everything that I read to you in this book, this chapter, was in the masculine energy, right? The doing, the taking over is masculine energy. So when you're writing this out, I want you to, whatever emotions start to come up, I want you to honor them by allowing them to surface. Don't fight it. Don't resist it. Just let it come up. Whatever it is, don't judge it. Don't question it. Just let it come up. Just let it come up. All right? And then take a break. Take yourself away from the writing. Whatever you need to do. Take a drink of water. Separate yourself for a minute. Just let the emotions flow and be complete. Okay? So that is your assignment for chapter 3. I hope this is helping you. It's October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I'm bringing the awareness of all of the abuse. And the chapters cover all of the abuse, right? It covers everything. I don't talk about sexual abuse, but I talk about every other abuse in here. And it's such an awareness, such a great awareness about yourself to have this. All right, my loves. Have an amazing day. This is part 2 of the beginning of our end. Chapter 3. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you value. And I'll see you tomorrow.